There's grams of protein, macronutrients, good and bad macros, micronutrients and supplements and powders and bars. Oh my. Let's talk protein. Protein is super important for fitness, for weight loss, weight gain, etc. But what is it? I promise the concept is way more intimidating than it should be. And we're gonna break it down and make it super easy for you. First things first, I am not a dietitian. I have no credentials. This is literally coming from someone who didn't know what a macronutrient was until this year, 2023. I am 25 years old. Yeah. Most of my knowledge comes through research and experience. I also did take a mini course all about protein, led by a brand with super accredited people talking, and there are facts that I'm gonna be talking about, but I also just kind of want to give you like my take, my opinion, and how I apply it to my life, and why it just seems so confusing and intimidating, but it's not. Once you actually take the time to just listen, it should be a lot more clear. And I figured this could just be really helpful for someone like past me. I'm still learning every single day, don't get me wrong. But first, like, okay, what is protein? Protein is a macronutrient. Okay, but what is that? What's a macronutrient? Or as the fitness people like to call it, macros. What are macros? I feel like when you hear fitness people talking about like macros, like that just makes it even more intimidating because it sounds like it's a secret language and it's a code, and if you get it, you get it, and like if you don't know what it is, you're not invited, and that's just like not how it is. And maybe I'm making this up. Maybe I created that own stigma in my head, but I'm just assuming if that was the barrier that I created for myself, somebody else probably perceives it that way too, right? Macronutrients or macros is literally just the term for the group describing carbs, fats, and protein. It's literally just the category name. It's the umbrella. When you're talking about macros, you're talking about the breakdown of carbs, fats, and protein. That's all it is. When I learned that, I was like, wait, like wow, that's it? It blew my mind. I thought when you learned about macros, you had to be doing these like calculations in your, no, it's literally just means carbs, fats, proteins. And I'm sure you've heard of carbs, fats, and proteins before, right? On the other hand, micronutrients are vitamins and minerals. We're not diving in there, but just know that's the difference. Macro, carbs, fats, proteins, micro, vitamins, and minerals. And you need all of the things. So protein is a macronutrient. And obviously different foods give you different amounts of macronutrients. These things are usually measured in grams. If you're in the US like me, you probably don't really use grams that often. This is really the only scenario where I think of things in grams. So for a little bit more context, okay, we have carbs. 1 gram of carbs is 4 calories. 1 gram of proteins is also 4 calories, whereas 1 gram of fats is 9 calories. And calories, I'm sure, is another term that you're like super familiar with, right? When you're eating something, like it's always gonna tell you how many calories it is. You wanna eat this many calories in a day, you burn this many calories, like whatnot. And so a lot of people have different opinions about number of calories, right? You think about 2 minute calories as being really bad and smaller calories as good, things like that. But we need to remember that calorie is literally just a unit of energy. Calories are energy. We need to eat to have energy to live, to do things, to breathe, to exist. Yeah, maybe you want to eat more or less calories of a certain type of food, whatever, but the word calorie itself is not a bad word, and we don't need to villainize it. You couldn't do anything without calories. And a well-rounded diet is going to consist of protein, of fats, of carbs. Maybe you have certain dietary restrictions, and maybe not, and you do eat an array of these things, which applies to me. But enough about carbs and fats, we are focusing on protein today. So, like, what does it do? Like, why do you need it? Why should I eat it? Why should I learn about it? So proteins are made up of amino acids, and your body uses amino acids to build and repair muscle and bones, and it can also be used as an energy source. Okay, so why this helps so much, talking about, you know, your health and fitness, whatever goals you may have, is because if you have certain fitness goals, chances are you're exercising in some way, shape, or form. Whether you do heavy weightlifting, whether you just do daily walks, whatever. Well, exercise puts stress on the body, which is not a bad thing. Like, I feel like the word stress sounds really bad. No, it's okay. Like, it puts stress on the body. You know, you're working hard, your body feels it, but the stress on your muscles damages your muscle fiber and actually creates these like little micro tears on your muscle fibers. But that's why both protein and rest and recovery is so important, because it helps repair those tears. So people always talk about, you know, like fueling and refueling is so important for your body. Rest days are so important for your body. Yes, that's because moving causes stress. Stress causes tears, which sounds scary. Doesn't that sound terrifying, that like when you work out you're literally like, oh, my muscles are ripping apart? It's not that dramatic, but that's what it sounds like to me, right? But then these tears are fixed by rest, recovery, protein, and just proper fueling. And if you're fueling well, Well, the tears can repair and, you know, in the case of building muscle, repair and get bigger, which is usually the ultimate goal. Whether you're trying to gain weight in terms of building muscle or you're trying to lose weight, normally losing weight means losing fat and building muscle. So building muscle is always a good thing, and protein is gonna help you do that. And that's why really everyone should be having protein in some way, shape, or form. And someone's protein intake won't be the same as someone's else, whatever, but it's just very important to have in your diet. Protein comes from things like meat, poultry, fish, eggs, tofu, nuts, seeds, cheese, yogurt, milks. There are a lot of different sources. However, many people do need an added supplement because, you know, they don't eat enough of those sources throughout the day to reach their protein goals. And so they might have protein bars, protein powders, things like that. And so I do want to talk about protein powder, especially because it's something that I eat every single day. So let's get into that. Protein powder. Okay, well, not all protein or protein powders are created equal. You probably have seen a lot about whey protein. All that means is that it comes from cheese. Whey is a product of cheese. You may have seen the word casein. Casein is protein found in milk. And of course, there are vegan options made by extracting protein from plant-based foods. Things like peas, soy, different seeds. Something huge though that I had no idea, honestly, and that is important to know, is that protein powders are not 100% protein. When you are having a protein supplement, there are carbs and fats involved. That's just how it is. When you're consuming a protein supplement, it's just not pure, like 100% protein. Of course, the protein content is very high compared to the carbs and fats, but it's just kind of not realistic to have literally 100% protein. But how you get protein powder is you usually take kind of like a gel-like substance and almost cook it to make it into a powder. You know how when you're like cooking things, it changes consistency or texture, like protein's just like that. But it is super important that when you are buying a protein powder or protein supplement, you're doing your research so you're not spending money and getting a lower quality product that's not even gonna benefit you in the long run, and you're essentially just wasting money. What I mean by that is, we know the health and fitness and whatnot world is very profitable, right? There are so many brands selling so many different kinds of supplements, so many protein powders, I could go on. So something to be aware of is kind of how much protein you're getting compared to the carbs and fats in a protein powder. For example, a higher quality protein powder is going to have a high ratio of protein compared to the carbs and fats. So even though it might be a little bit more expensive, the quality is higher and you're actually getting more protein in your body compared to if you go like a super cheap route. Chances are the amount of protein in the actual powder is gonna be on the lower side. Of course, this all varies per brand, per size of container, whatnot, but just know cheaper is not always better in this situation, and it could end up just being a waste of money. I could dive even deeper into the differences of how different protein powders are made, but that might be too much for this video. However, when you are looking to buy a protein powder, just know there might be different kinds. So for example, I really love Phorm and I have their protein powder every single day, but they have two different kinds. For example, they have a protein powder that's more of a meal replacement protein powder. It's called Level 1, and it's because it mimics the digestion of whole foods. So your body kind of like feeds on it for a longer period of time. It keeps you fuller for longer, things like that. Versus they also have an isolate protein, which is one you would take kind of, you know, after like a heavy workout, things like that. And it's a much quicker digestion, kind of helps your muscles right away. So different protein powders might have different purposes. But for someone like me, that's not a crazy intense trainer, yes, I've been getting more into lifting and things like that, experimenting, whatnot. However, on the day-to-day, I always start my day with protein coffee, and I use a meal replacement protein in that. I'll get into that more too because I love my protein coffee. Okay, but now it's like, what do you do with this info? Okay, I'm telling you all these facts, but it's like, okay, Morgan, but like, what now? What do you do with it? How do you apply it? So many people, obviously this may differ depending on your fitness goals, your lifestyle, whatnot, but kind of like the standard that you may have heard is to aim for having 1 gram of protein per 1 pound of weight. For example, if you weigh 100 pounds, you would eat 100 grams of protein in a day. And now this might actually be pretty hard. But for example, someone like me who is not, you know, a crazy intense gym rat, like I don't know everything, but I do take kind of my health and fitness seriously, right? Someone like me, this is what I do. I have protein coffee every morning. You might already know this. If you're not new here, I show it in so many videos, and if you are new here, please subscribe. I would love to have you back. I geek out about this stuff. But so I love my protein coffee. I use a meal replacement protein because I'm someone who, like, the minute my eyes wake up and I roll out of bed, I'm like, oh my gosh, I want coffee, right? I want it, I need it, let's do it, let's get the day going. Like, it's a feel-good thing for me. Of course, it's the caffeine, but I just love it. However, it's not good to just like drink coffee on an empty stomach. So my little routine is I have water, then I typically have a greens powder just because I like to, and then I will make my protein coffee, and a little bit later I'll have breakfast. It's nice because I'm putting some substance in my body, and I'm starting out with protein right away in the day, which again also has a little bit of carbs and fat in it too, right? Because it's a protein powder. So right away I'm getting ahead with my protein goal for the day. It keeps me fuller for longer. If I want to get to work right away, I can. My stomach's not going to be rumbling in a half an hour. I can just get to it, right? But I also love it because, well, I do get the caramel latte flavor, so it literally tastes so good, but it replaces sugary coffee creamers. I know you can buy low sugar, you know, better options, but I'm not gonna lie, I like the plain dairy, like International Delight or Coffee Mate. Like, I like that stuff in my coffee, I do. So this replaces that. There's a lot less added sugar, and although the protein powder may come from a dairy source, it is different than just having straight up dairy creamer. I'm not lactose intolerant by any means, but I just don't think my skin really loves dairy, so it's just another way to kind of eliminate that from my daily diet. So my morning coffee literally consists of oat milk, protein powder, and espresso. You can use regular coffee too. I've tried it, works great. But then from there, I try to have protein with each meal. And that's just a good thing to aim for. If you're starting out new to this right away and you don't want to track every metric, that's totally fine. Just try to make sure you're having a protein source with every meal. Whether that be a good hunk of peanut butter in my smoothie bowl or a Greek yogurt bowl. Greek yogurt is a really great source of protein. Or for lunch, I really like to have chicken or tuna, salads or wraps, things like that. And of course, dinner is different every single day, but it always involves some sort of protein. Clearly, I do eat meat. I really don't follow any specific diet on the day-to-day. And in a perfect world, my protein source from lunch would not be the same as dinner, but sometimes it just doesn't work out that way. I also love to have protein snacks around just in case, you know, sometimes you need them. Sometimes you need a little extra help or a pick-me-up, whatnot. So protein bars. Again, I love the protein bars from Phorm. They literally taste like a dessert. Or they have these little like meat sticks I really like. Otherwise, there are millions of recipes on Pinterest you can look up and meal prep to have throughout the week, whether it's protein energy balls, or you could make protein desserts, protein cookies, you know, high protein banana bread, just things like that. There's so many different ways to get in some extra protein, and I'm never gonna tell you exactly what to eat, exactly how to eat. You know, you have to do this for this meal and this on this day, because that's just not realistic. I'm just presenting the facts I know, how I apply them to my life, and I just kind of want to break the barrier that this information seems very intimidating, but once you just really try to understand it, it shouldn't be, right? The more research you do, the more learning you do, the more kind of observation you do about what you eat, it might get a little bit easier. And the term macros, when you hear the gym bros throwing it around, it sounds so scary, and it's not scary. It just is a category name. That's all you need to think about it. Don't let it get to you. And I will always say this, everybody's lifestyles, everyone's diets, activity levels, bodies, etc. are so different. So it's always important for you to do your own research, try different things, experiment with different things, and slowly learn kind of what routines and what meals and different sources work best for you and what don't. And remember, you might not eat the same amount of protein as I do in a day, or your sibling, or your partner, or your friend. You know, everyone is just so different. Your body metabolizes something different than somebody else's body, or you may need to eat a different amount in a day, not just because of size, but because of age and gender and different hormone level, like literally so much. Especially if you are a woman and have a regular cycle, you know, that's a whole other topic and area of things that contributes to your diet and a lot of this stuff. I'm really hoping that after this video, if you're someone who, like I was literally a few months ago, didn't even know how to approach this topic, I hope now you're a little less scared and, you know, maybe want to do some research and try some products and maybe see if you up your protein intake, kind of what it can do for you and your body and your energy and your workouts and things like that, because it might do a lot more than you think. I saw a TikTok once of someone comparing protein to kind of like the tightness of your skin, and I don't know how much that analogy is true or whatever, but that woke me up a little. I was like, whoa. Like I should up my protein intake. I share lots of recipes in a lot of my videos, but I can continue doing that if that is something that would be helpful to you. Otherwise, let me know what else would be helpful. I really hope this was helpful. It's like a message to past me as well. She needed this breakdown. I'll link some of my favorite products, of course. You probably already know I really love Phorm as a brand, and their protein is just such high quality. But again, always do your own research. That's just a brand I like. I'm not telling you you have to purchase from them. But that's the thing too. Try out different protein sources from different brands. A disclaimer though, protein can be expensive. And expensive is not always better, but make sure when you're spending a money, whether it be a lot or a little, you know it's a good product that you want to invest in and you want to put in your body. I really hope this helped. Let me know what else you want to see from me. Treat your body right. Thank you so much for watching. I'm always rooting for you. Please subscribe if you have not, and I'll see you in my next one.